This video is the first in a new playlist on how to fish better, different techniques, and just, for those people that are new to angling, to give them a head start. And as always, I try to have something for everyone in my videos, so I will try to throw some advanced tips in there as well. But I know there's nothing more intimidating for new anglers to go into one of the big stores and see this great big massive wall of fishing line, and where do you start? There's monofilament, there's braid, there's fluorocarbon, and there's so many different types of lines. So hopefully we're going to take some of the mystery out of those lines and what they do, so that you will have a better understanding of when and where to fish the different lines. And I'm going to show you two of my favorite knots that I use for well over 90% of all of my fishing. Please remember to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming videos on how to fish better and learning some of the new techniques that are out there today. Monofilament line has been around for a very long time. I have a couple of Berkley brands of monofilament here: Trilene Sensation, Trilene XL, which is not pictured here, but a lot of you are familiar with, has been an old standard for many anglers for many, many years. Trilene XT, Trilene Big Game, those are all well-recognized monofilament names in the industry. So let's get into some properties of monofilament. First of all, it is a little less sensitive than the no stretch lines or fluorocarbon. And since it has more stretch, then your sense of feel is going to be lessened, and your hook setting ability is also going to be lessened a little bit as well. But there are several advantages to monofilament. It lays on your reel better and is easier to fish. It's less coily. It also floats, so it makes it better for topwater presentations, and it also makes it better for slow sinking presentations, as it's going to keep the bait in the strike zone longer. General ease of use, and probably the best thing, is that it's very affordable, and it is a great all-round line choice for new anglers as they get used to the sport of fishing. This is Trilene 100% fluorocarbon, which is the line that I use all the time when I am using fluorocarbon. So let's talk fluorocarbon here. Fluorocarbon has good abrasion resistance, and that comes in handy when we are dealing with areas with zebra mussels. However, one of the downfalls of fluorocarbon is that it is not necessarily user-friendly when spooled directly onto a spinning reel. On a bait casting reel, it's fine because it lays flat. However, it is a pretty coily line, so you will find that if you use it exclusively as your main line, you will have some definite line twists and potential issues there, and you have to be careful as you are reeling the line onto your reel that everything is tight. Some people still do it, but generally speaking, it's not the best choice of line for your main line. It is an excellent leader material because of the abrasion resistance. It has less stretch than monofilament, and the best part about it is that it is very hard to see. The clear fluorocarbon that you see pictured here is almost invisible under the water, and therefore it's going to increase the number of strikes that you get. So that is one of the biggest advantages to fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon also sinks, so if you want a bait to get down quicker, fluorocarbon is an excellent choice, and not recommended for top waters because, again, it does sink. And because it is less stretch than monofilament, you are going to have good sensitivity and be able to get a better hook set. So that is an overview of fluorocarbon. Let's move on to braid now. So you see this spider wire stealth here. This is what I use the vast majority of the time when I want a no stretch line. And it is just that. It is no stretch whatsoever. So you are going to get some excellent hook sets. You are going to get excellent sensitivity, and it is more expensive than monofilament and fluorocarbon, but it is going to last longer than both. So that is definitely an advantage of it as well. Braid floats. So again, it is a good choice for top waters and slower fall presentations. It handles well on both spinning and bait casting reels. And as I said, probably most importantly, you are going to get that great sense of feel and excellent hook sets. And those are the key advantages of Braid. Spider wire stealth has been around a very long time. It is tried, tested, and true. And when you see a product that lasts a long time, you know that it's a great product. So something to bear in mind when you are looking for your braid choice. One of the biggest disadvantages to using braid, though, is that it is very visible to the fish. It is super strong, but also visible to the fish. So if the fish are active and aggressive, by all means tie directly to your bait and you will get strikes because of the aggressive nature of the fish. But if the fish are in a very finicky mood, then you will find that the ability of the fish to see the braid in the water is going to decrease the number of strikes. Another option for a no stretch line is Fireline Crystal. I like the crystal because of its white color, so when I want to line watch for strikes, then I find the white color quite helpful. So what about the differences then between braid and crystal? So there is a definite difference. With the Fireline, it sinks, so unlike the braid which floats, it is going to be best used with baits that are in vertical presentations or where you're casting, and if you want the bait to fall quicker through the water. A lot of people like this for trolling to get baits deeper as well. So those are some of the differences there. It handles well on spinning and bait casting, just like the other no stretch lines. It lasts a long time. It's going to be better in current, again, because it doesn't float. It's going to cut through better. And the no stretch features, which I talked about earlier with braid, is going to give you excellent sensitivity and great hook sets. So if you want a bait that sinks and does not absorb water, this is an excellent choice for ice fishing as well. So that is the advantages of Fireline Crystal. The majority of your better anglers today are going to use a combination of a no stretch line plus a fluorocarbon leader. The advantages to that is that the fluorocarbon, as we mentioned earlier, is highly invisible to the fish, so you are going to get more strikes on your baits, which is what you want. The disadvantage was that it didn't handle very well on the main line, so you try to avoid that with the combination of the braid or Fireline, the no stretch lines, plus the fluorocarbon leader. You get the best of both worlds. So with the no stretch main line, it is going to last a long time on the reel. It is going to handle very well on spinning and bait casting, but it's easy to see for the fish. So when you tie that fluorocarbon leader on with its great abrasion resistance and invisibility factor, then you are going to get more strikes. That is a deadly combination, and that is why the majority of your top anglers today are using a combination of no stretch plus a fluorocarbon leader. Please be aware that when you are using braid, a pair of nail clippers is not going to be a very efficient choice of cutting braid. It's simply going to cause it to fray and create a headache for you. So you need to invest in a pair of braid scissors, and there are many varieties out there. Here's a sample of some Berkeley braid scissors that are available, and they will cut through the braid simply and efficiently. Nail clippers work well with monofilament and fluorocarbon, and you can use your braid scissors as well if you choose to. Some anglers will choose to use a little rainbow trout swivel very tiny to join their fluorocarbon line and their braided line. So we talked about the visibility factor. So over here on the left you have braided line, and you can see how easy it is to see against the backdrop of a white piece of photocopy paper. And over here on this side you can see that the fluorocarbon line is much harder to see, and therefore you're going to get more strikes as indicated. So a little rainbow trout swivel in the middle is one option of learning how to join two lines. Here's a different background of the two lines again. So you can see over here that you have the braided line here, which against this charcoal carpet is harder to see. But when you look at the fluorocarbon line over here, it is very, very difficult to see. So once again, you are going to gain more strikes by using that fluorocarbon leader and getting the best of both worlds. Over here, you have the no stretch, great sensitivity, great hook setting ability. Over here, you get the low visibility, good abrasion resistance, and still good sensitivity as well. So you are going to maximize the number of strikes you're going to get. That is getting the best of both worlds by marrying the world of no stretch and fluorocarbon together. To attach these lines here, tie this Palomar knot first, so from your fluorocarbon to your swivel. Once you've got that attached, then leave enough material for the leader length that you prefer. And you can tie a Palomar knot onto your bait down here, wherever that is, when you choose to. But do that after you've joined this knot. So basically you tie this knot on second, and again you can use a Palomar knot to join the leader with the swivel. So the order basically of doing this is you attach this one first, and that is the fluorocarbon to the swivel. Then you do this second, the swivel to the mainline braid, and then thirdly you do the bait. The problem with using a swivel is that it does not go through the guides very well and is not recommended to go through the guides. So typically I would only use a swivel if I were fishing, let's say something like the Detroit River vertical jigging for walleye, where I want a bright visible line such as a chartreuse or my white fire line crystal, and I would have that go right down to the leader. And because the water is usually quite off colored, I don't worry about the braid and visibility, and plus it's fishing vertically. So I just have typically a very short fluorocarbon leader of say 1 foot to maybe 3 feet. So in that case, a small rainbow trout swivel is a great option for joining two lines, but I highly recommend that you learn a good braid to fluorocarbon knot, and I am going to show you the one that I use all the time now. Earlier on we talked about marrying the two lines together of a no stretch line and fluorocarbon line. So here's the knot that I'm going to use. I believe it's called the Albright Knot, Aaron Martin's knot. I've heard different names for it, but like anything else, we tweak it a little bit more to make it just a little bit better. And so here are my tips to make it work for you. We're going to use our spider wire stealth braid and our trilene 100% fluorocarbon, and we don't have to, in this case, worry about a swivel going through the guides of our rod, because this time it's going to be a small knot that is going to slip through the guides of the rod efficiently, and therefore you could make a leader length of 3 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet. You can make a leader length whatever you want. All right, here we go. Let's tie this knot. It's pretty easy, and you're just going to take your fluorocarbon and you're going to double it up. So now, I was taught with this knot to just take and pinch the end of it, and that gives you a nice tight little loop right there at the end. So now I'm going to take my braid and I am going to go through the loop. And now I need to give myself some excess braid here because I have to go 10 times down and 10 times up. So now I'm going to take the tag end of the braid, and I am going to start twisting it around. So 1, 2, and it's going around a double line, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I'm going to just shift my hands up a little closer because now I'm going to start going back up. So I'm going to go back up 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I have the tag end, and I'm going to take it and I am going to bring it back through the loop. Now I am going to take and I'm going to hold this here, and I have now 2 ends. I have 2 tag ends of fluorocarbon and I have 2 tag ends of braid. Now I'm going to wet it. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure that, again, I don't get heat and friction in there. And I'm going to work it together with my fingers a little bit. And I'm pulling and just working it together. And then now I'm going to take the 2 main ends of the line and I'm going to cinch it up. Now, basically, we talked earlier about using nail clippers. So I'm going to take the end here, which has the fluorocarbon tag end, and I am going to snip it as close as I can. Don't worry about going too close, and that's actually a key to getting the line to go through the guides efficiently. Now, the opposite end of the line is a braid tag end. So I'm going to flip that around, and I'm going to take my braid scissors, and once again I use the Berkeley braid scissors here, and I am going to take and I am going to snip it as close as I can to that. And the reason I snip it really close is that I want it to go through the guides. If I leave tag ends, they're going to get caught. And now you can take, and again, be careful because braid is no stretch. You can actually cut your hands on this. But again, I am pulling, and I have 8-pound fluorocarbon in my right hand, and I have 15-4 stealth in my left hand. And again, I'm giving a good strong tug on that. And that is a really good strong knot. And it's not a very big knot either. And like I say, you don't have to worry about that going through the guides because it's going to go through the guides very efficiently. And that is my version of the knot. And the big tip there is cut the tag ends really close. The knot cinches upon itself, so you don't have to worry about the tag ends being loose and slipping. They will not. It's a great knot. Here's a close-up of the knot, and you can see once again that the braid is very visible and the fluorocarbon is definitely hard to see, which will ultimately give you more strikes and help you catch more fish. And at the end of the day, we all want to catch more fish. The Palomar knot is a very strong knot and it's very easy to tie. So let's get to it. And once again, this is one of the knots that I am going to use for 90% of my fishing. And here we go. So we have the eye here, which represents the eye of the hook or lure. And so we're going to go through with this orange line, and this is just to make it more visual for you. We're going to go through once, and then we're going to go back through the same hole again. Now, basically what I have done here is I have doubled up the line. And so now I am going to take the line and I am going to do a granny knot. So I'm just going to flip this around, make it a little easier for me to tie. So now I am going to do my overhand knot, and it's just a little granny knot, almost kind of like you would do tying your shoes. And I have a loop left over here, and you can see that the screw eye is hanging down. Now I'm going to take this loop with my 2 fingers, and I'm going to take the lure, or in this case the screw eye, and I am going to flip it through that loop. Now I have the loop here, and I keep my thumb inside the hole here, and then I'm going to work this down here too. And if I flip this up for you, you can see that it's almost like a little bit of a peace sign. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that peace sign and I'm going to work it down with my thumb. And I work it down, and at this point I would wet the line. And I wet the line because especially monofilament and fluorocarbon, they're basically plastic based, so the heat will cause friction when you pull it tight, so it could melt it a little bit and weaken the line. So now what I want to do is, at this point, once it's moistened down, it'll cinch down. But another little trick, the 2 lines here should be side by side. So if you think of my fingers here side by side, they are not crossed. If they were crossed like this, and I'll help it along a little bit, then that is going to weaken the line. So keep the 2 lines side by side. So when I look at the 2 lines here, I can see they're side by side. So when I cinch that up, it's all good, and that's going to be nice and strong. And then that is basically your Palomar knot. And again, you just trim it, and you can trim it fairly close, and then you're all done. In summary then, what you have here is you have your lure down here, you have a Palomar knot here, and that is going to tie onto the fluorocarbon, and in the middle you have your knot that is joining the no stretch to the fluorocarbon. Once again, fluorocarbon, very difficult to see. Then you have the braid going to main line, and it would go up here to your reel. And that is the basics of setting up your line for success. And obviously using good strong knots is going to be the key to holding on to those fish that you've been dreaming of catching. This is a Berkeley chigger craw on the end, and it is hooked onto one of our custom Ned head rigs that you can see in one of the custom tackle videos on the YouTube channel. We will be making that video in the near future, so if you want to see how to make a Ned head, stay tuned for that one. Your knots are the most important link between you and the fish, so please make sure you take your time and learn some of these knots. It takes a little while to train your fingers to tie some of those knots, but as anything, you know, everything is difficult before it's easy, so just take some time and practice it and you'll get it. And once you do, your success on the water is going to escalate quickly. If you've enjoyed this launch video for the how-to of techniques and just basically learning how to fish a little bit better, then please add a like, share, subscribe. It's always very much appreciated.